Hello and welcome back to WVU Extension Today. I'm your host, Joel Brown. If you're like me, you love the holidays. If you're like me, you don't know what holidays 2020 is gonna bring. So today, we're here to show you all the money-saving tips and great ideas that WVU Extension has for your holiday celebrations. Let's head over to Lauren and learn more about how to save some money during the holidays.
Hi, this is Lauren Weatherford, WVU Extension Agent, and today we're going to talk a little bit about holiday shopping and spending money. Spending money is one of the most stressful reasons for the season, and we want to see if we can't give you some ideas today that would allow you to not be so stressed during the holidays. The first thing I want to talk about is 2020. Boy, it's been a crazy year, and this holiday season, it's still going to be more of the same. Some of the things we need to watch out for are making sure that we don't put ourselves at risk just because of the holiday season. A lot of online retailers have already started doing their holiday sales. They started at the end of October. So online shopping is a great way. But if online shopping's not for you, here's some other ideas. One is you can always give cash. You can give gift certificates. And I'll tell you what, one of my favorite gift certificate ideas has to do with local businesses. When we give gift certificates from local businesses, we are supporting our community as well as our local economy. We're helping people maintain jobs, and we're putting back money back into our own community. Small businesses really are the key to a lot of small community success. So please consider supporting your local businesses. When you think about shopping at local businesses, it might be a whole lot easier to make pandemic-friendly arrangements. You may be able to call them and arrange for a time to pick up a gift certificate, maybe when not so many people are there, or even have them mail them to you. So utilizing that small business could give you those safe alternatives, as well as some unique gifts while supporting your local community. Another thing I want to talk about is that a lot of research shows this year that while some people will have a little extra cash on hand because they haven't traveled or they haven't spent money going out, other people really are hurting. Other people may have been laid off or affected in some other way from the pandemic. This year, I actually recommend you do something that we don't normally do. I recommend you talk about money in a kind and compassionate way. You don't have to ask people if they have enough money. But what you can do is come up with some suggestions and ideas, or say, hey, would it be a good idea if we set some limits this year? Maybe you can do some Secret Santa activities. Maybe you could do a gift swap, or a found item, or even a regift project. Some of these game type things might be really great ways to set some new traditions and make sure that everybody can participate without encouraging them to overspend or to feel bad about it. So this year, find a way to talk about money and let everybody be at the same place. The last thing I want to do is I want to give you a top 10 list of tips for this holiday season. The first tip I want you to do is I want you to make a list. Write out everything that you might spend money on this year. Not just gifts, but also what might you spend for food or travel or parties. Maybe there won't be so many parties this year, but if you're having a small socially distanced gathering, you still want to make sure that you put that on your list. So everything you might spend, decorations, a lot of people are spending more money on decorations. Everything goes on the list. The next thing you do is you go behind it and you mark, is this a want or is this a need? Because that makes a big difference about the next step that comes after it. The next step is you're going to make a budget. You're going to pick the amount of money you have to spend or can spend, and you're going to break it out into pieces, and you're going to assign an amount to each thing on your needs list. After that, if you have things left, then you can put money amounts with the wants. And I want to make sure that you add in everything that you definitely think you need, and then really consider those wants. Is it that important? Is that what the season's really about? So you might have to make some good judgments there. If you have a little extra, great, but if you don't, make some good choices. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to look for sales. Look online, check your emails, check your flyers that come in the mail. If you can look at websites, look for those store sales. A lot of people started already having their Christmas sales towards the end of October, and they're going to go on all the way up through Christmas Day. So figure out where those things are that you have chosen as your needs, and then you're going to go to the next step, which is make a shopping plan. And in this step, what you're going to do is you're going to actually pick the time and the place where you're going to go to get what things. And then you're going to pull that money out aside for those days. The great thing about making a shopping plan is you almost never leave things up to the last minute. So everything gets picked on a certain day. You can make travel arrangements. You can do the things that you need to do. The next thing on our list is don't wait till the last minute. Use that plan. Last minute shopping is when people tend to spend the most. Then I want you to make sure that you think about, are there ways that you can use some homemade gifts? Or one of my favorite tips this year is hand down family heirlooms or create new traditions. One of my favorite examples is someone who gave lockets to everybody in the family. And that became the year that everybody got one of those lockets. It's the kind of story that everybody will remember for years to come. The ninth tip is when it gets to be too much, just stop. Just stop and slow down. You can always pull it back together when you're ready, but if it gets to be too much stress and anxiety, it's just not worth it. So just take a big deep breath, give yourself a break. And the last tip that I want to give you is never forget what's most important for the season. Most people say it's not about gifts and money. It's about time, and it's about the joy that we bring each other during the holiday season. That's what I have for my tips today. Happy holidays, everybody.
And next up, we head over to our friend Dana, who's going to teach us a great breathing exercise to help with stress during the holidays.
Stress is a part of our daily lives. There are moments when we feel completely overwhelmed, or we may be in environments that have just left us overstimulated. So today what we're going to do is we are going to practice a breathing technique from the WVU Extension Stress Less series that I believe that when applied and practiced on a daily basis, you will find that it makes a real difference in the way that you handle stress and the way that a stress affects you. So the first thing that I want you to do, you need to find you a comfortable place. This can be somewhere that is quiet, or it can be in your office or your car. You just need a comfortable place where you can be quiet and undisturbed for 5 minutes. Find that place? Great. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. You can sit on the floor if you need to, or in a chair, but make sure that you sit up straight with your palms. They can either be down on your knees or in a comfortable position. You want to make sure your palms are in a comfortable position. Now we're going to begin to notice our breathing. I want you to close your eyes and gently guide your attention to the natural flow of your breath in your chest and your belly. Simply notice the breath as you breathe in and out. In and out. At this point, there's no need to make your breath faster or slower, or more deep or more shallow. You're just allowing your breath to do its natural thing. Sense the air passing from your chest, through your nose, and your mouth as you breathe in and out. Continue to notice your breathing with a sense of kindness and gentle allowing. Remember, there's nothing to do except notice your breath. Now sink into the natural rhythm, the rising and the gentle falling of your chest and belly as you breathe in and out, in and out. If you find your mind begins to wander during this exercise or you begin to feel distracted, just notice that and return your attention to the rhythm of your breath and the rising and falling of your chest and belly. It's important that you continue this kind of observation for as long as you wish. And all you're doing is just noticing your breath doing its thing. Continue this for a few moments. Then, when you're ready, gradually widen your attention and gently open your eyes with the intention of bringing this skill of kind observing to your experiences throughout the day. I hope that you found the mindful breathing technique to be a very useful one. If you would be interested in learning more about WVU Extension's Stress Less series, contact your local WVU Extension service for more information. Happy breathing.
This next activity is a Brown family favorite. We go to Mary Beth to learn how to make applesauce spice ornaments.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Bennett. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Extension Agent in the Berkeley County Extension Office in Martinsburg. Today we're making applesauce spice ornaments. I've already put in my bowl the ingredients. We used 3/4 cup of ground cinnamon, a tablespoon of ground allspice, 2 tablespoons of ground cloves, and a tablespoon of nutmeg. And then we added a cup of Musselman unsweetened applesauce. You don't have to have it sweet because you're not going to eat these anyway. So I mix them up good, I form it into a ball, put it on my wax paper, and then I roll it out. Try to roll it about 1/4 of an inch thick. And I've been asked how many different ornaments can you get out of this? And generally it depends. I tell people on the size of the cookie cutters that you use. So I like to use the apple because I come from apple country, where Berkeley County is the #1 apple producing county in West Virginia. So I always like to include an apple in my cutouts. And then I like to use hearts because I like to give these to different people. And then I have a star because if you work with 4-H, you know we have the all stars, so that kind of is a nice touch, is to give some of our all stars stars. Depending upon how creative you are, you can get multiple ones out of one rolling, but then you take up the excess and you can re-roll it and make more ornaments. So it's just like making cookies. Okay, it's not real high technical. The only thing is your hands will get cinnamony, and this smells wonderful to work with. It is actually, I wish we had smell-o-vision so we could smell this, but there's one of my stars. And I also use tools sometimes I can get under it better and use that. And maybe you can see this is not my first batch. I've been making these in a couple different batches, and the trick, I think, in cooler weather, I've been making these quite a bit and I've not had problems before, but for some reason they seem a lot more fluid today. So I think if you just let your dough sit a little bit, and then try working it. Seems to be doing it better that way. And I've used parchment paper to put this on. And then what I do once I get them onto the parchment paper, I go in and all I use is a toothpick, and I put a little hole in here so that I can come back when they're dry, and I can put a string through it, or I can put a ribbon through it. If I'm going to give them away, it might be nice to have, put a ribbon through it, but at least put a hole through. So, and then you can check it and come back and do the hole a little bit bigger, because I find that as they're drying, the holes tend to close up. So there we have a whole thing full of it, and what I'll just do is take this up, roll it back into a ball, and re-roll. And then you have ornaments. So they smell wonderful. Well, I don't know if you can see these very well. I'll turn it around a little bit. And hopefully you can see some of the ornaments we've had. We're gonna let those dry for about 5 days, and then you can give them away as gifts, or you can hang them in your windows. And they just smell wonderful. So that's how to make applesauce spice ornaments. Thank you.
And next up, we head over to Andi to learn how to make some gifts in a jar.
Hi, I'm Andi Hoover, the Family Community Development Extension Agent in Greenbrier County. Today, you've been learning about different ways to save money during the holidays. Lauren has given you several tips, and Mary Beth has taught you a great craft. I'm here to wrap things up with your food demonstrations. The food demonstrations we'll do today can also be a gift for others. I'm sure you've heard of gifts in a jar or mason jar gifts before. You may have even been the recipient of one in the past. These gifts are so easy, inexpensive, and practical. They're great for anyone. And even if you don't decide to give them away, it's great to have pre-measured ingredients in your cabinet that you can just pull out and make a delicious dinner for your family. So today, we're going to learn 3 different gifts in a jar. Although people use mason jars for their gifts in a jar, this is perfectly fine, but you can use any jar that you like. It's totally up to you. Mason jars are great for canning, and if you're giving away salsas or sauce or jams and jellies, you're going to want to use a mason canning jar and process the food appropriately. However, today we're using non-perishable foods for our gifts. So there's no canning or processing of food that needs to happen. You could use any jar that you like. We're going to start off with a soup, a traditional bean soup. I'm demonstrating a 5-bean soup that has a spice packet included. The recipes for these food demonstrations will be added to the end of this video. I bought 1-pound bags of 5 different beans: pinto beans, black beans, green split peas, northern beans, and kidney beans. You want to make sure that you're layering these with different colors so that you can see the definition. That's what makes it pretty. I bought the bags of beans, all the spices, and 4 containers for around $17. That means I'm doing 4 gifts, and each one of them is just a little over $4. For this recipe, I'm using a 2/3 cup of each bean. Once you pour the bean into the container, we want to just tap it lightly so that we have level layers. And depending on how much room you have at the top, you can see that this jar is not completely full. We can add a rice or some pasta to fill the jar completely. You'll also want to add your spice packet to the top. Now, instead of using a glass mason jar for most of my gifts, in 2020, we don't have lids. There's a shortage on lids. So this might not be the best gift idea. I'm using these resealable containers. They are 2 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. So that brought my price down. I don't have to worry about them breaking, and they are sealable. And on the top, I have added my seasoning packet, a bay leaf, and a bouillon cube. I'm using a beef bouillon cube, but you can use chicken or vegetable, whatever you choose to do. And you want to add a gift tag with the instructions of what to do. So for our 5-bean soup, we are just adding all the seasonings. We're going to add a can of diced tomatoes and enough water to cover the beans. For food safety, you'll want to remember to remind your recipient to wash their beans. Some people soak them overnight, which is perfectly fine. But I've washed my beans. I'm going to add them to my water. I'm going to add the seasoning, which in your packet is 3 tablespoons. Then we're going to add our bay leaf and our bouillon cube. Give it a good stir. We're just going to let this simmer throughout the day until our beans are soft. For our spice packet, we're using several different spices. So for this recipe, it calls for pepper, salt, paprika, oregano, rosemary, dried onion, garlic powder, dry mustard, and then on top, again, is our bay leaf and our bouillon cube. So we mixed all of these seasonings together in a small bowl. I did not add salt to mine. That's another great reason to make your own seasonings. You control what goes into it. So we take those seasonings and 3 tablespoons for each jar. So I'm just taking a piece of parchment paper, putting my tablespoons of seasoning in the middle, and we'll wrap that up to make a cute little envelope. I hope you enjoy it. Next, we're going to make a great little snack in a jar. Who doesn't love banana pudding? This simple gift tastes just like one of our old favorites, but without all the hassle and with a few less calories. All you're going to need is a bag of banana chips, dried banana chips, some white chocolate morsels, and some vanilla wafers. The smaller you can get, the better on this one. We're going to just combine those into a bowl. However, to make a snack mix that you can get a good handful of, I broke a lot of my cookies in half so that they're just easier to grab. So we're going to put a cup of our cookies into a bowl. We're going to put a cup of our white chocolate morsels into our bowl. And then we are going to add our banana chips. Same thing with the banana chips on the sides. Depending on how big or small your banana chips are when you buy them, you might want to just give them a good little punch. Makes it easier to get a great handful of this delicious snack. So we're going to take our bowl of ingredients, which again is our vanilla wafers, our white chocolate chips, and our dried bananas. Give it a good stir and put it in a jar of your choice. I chose to use a simple little jar like this. It has a resealable lid, so we don't have to worry about it getting stale. But you can dig your hand right down in there and grab a handful of banana pudding. For this recipe, 1 bag of chips was $1. My box of vanilla wafers was $1. I can make about 4 jars of this, and 1 package of the white chocolate chips was $1. So, very cheap. I spent about, $10 on everything. So when you break it down per jar, it was about $2.50 for this gift idea. Lastly, Who can resist a nice cup of hot chocolate on a cold winter's day? This homemade recipe is very creamy, and it's just so cute in our little jars. A pint-sized jar will hold the larger recipe. Again, going back to sort of our beans, we're gonna layer again. And so you wanna make sure that you're adding some color in there. And it's really hard because a lot of the ingredients in your hot chocolate are white. So you can be creative and add some chocolate chip morsels just throughout. They're gonna melt in your hot chocolate anyway. So, or you can add some candy canes in between, anything you'd like to do. So I have already pre-measured. We are gonna do the 3 tablespoons, the smaller one, so that we can add more to our jar. So this is non-fat dry milk. So 3 tablespoons of dry milk. Let's go ahead and dump those in there. See, it's lopsided. So you're gonna wanna shake it a little bit just to even everything out. Or not, it's totally up to you. Next, another white ingredient, but it has a little bit of a color, more of a color to it, is our coffee creamer. And this is just a plain coffee creamer. We're gonna use 3 tablespoons of it as well. That in there and try to make a layer. So you can see that it is 2 different shades of white, but a lot of the same thing. So I don't know, I'm gonna get creative, add a few chocolate chips in there, just a few candy canes along the side. Next, we're gonna add our cocoa. So this is 1.5 tablespoons of cocoa. And then we are going to add 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. And as you can see, we still have a lot of room in our jar. So that room, again, I'm gonna add all my chocolate morsels, crushed candy canes, and some marshmallows. This jar, this little plastic jar, was only $1 at the Dollar Tree. So a lot less expensive than our mason jars. And again, we don't have to worry about having those lids. Makes a cute little treat. I've also made, as I was making these, some of them got mixed up, so I just put everything in one large jar. This will be used for here at the house. Probably won't give it away to anybody, but if I did, I have my cute little label stuck on the top to tell them it's a 1/2 cup of mix to 1 cup of hot water. We are going to take our mix, measure out 1/2 cup, pour that into our mug, add our hot water, give that a really good stir. Delicious. So I hope that you have enjoyed today, that I've given you a lot of food and craft ideas for this holiday season. The recipes will be linked to the video. You might like to add your own touch to these, and that is perfectly well. And you may even like them so much you decide to keep them for yourself. Either way, I wish you the happiest of holidays, and cheers.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you utilize at least one of our tips and tricks and great ideas for the holiday season. Happy holidays from our family to yours, and we'll see you again soon here on WVU Extension Today.